So I got a question here from a client asking me whether I thought she was eating too much red meat or not. And basically she was, with her diet recall, she had one meal within that day that had red meat. So of course my answer was no, but had she had twice per day or something along those lines, I would still say the same thing. But I really want to look at why people would ask themselves that question and why this is a question in the first place and why red meat gets such a backlash. So I'm going to make some pretty broad, general, blanket statements first, and then bear with me, I'll explain kind of where I'm coming from on this and sort of the details and sort of the minutiae that people get into on this. First of all, I would say that do not worry. Whether it's red or white, don't be racist with your meat here, and realize that the color of the meat is only different in the terms of the amount of oxygen that it gets when it's actually part of the animal, and certain fiber types get different amounts of iron and oxygen sent to that blood, and it has to do with the blood supply that is actually going to that muscle. So really, in fact, the red meat would be better and improved there because it actually gets a better vitamin mineral concentration within it. So in terms of sort of a multivitamin approach or concept, the red meat's actually got loads more than that. Is it significant at the end of the day? It's not something I necessarily am biased towards to make someone have improved sports performance. Some bodybuilders and things like that really push that. That's fine and great, but at the end of the day, it's I don't lose sleep over that. What is important though is your source and where you're getting it from. So red meat is backlashed big time by all sorts of correlational studies that have taken place, in which are pretty much crap. Because I mean, you're comparing a study that's this huge analysis of all these people that use diet records, which whether they're accurate or not is one thing, but they're not differentiating between simple things like, are they a smoker, do they get fast food, and is their red meat from, say, some kind of crazy huge farm that uses antibiotics and hormones and whatnot in their cattle. What are their other lifestyle factors? Do they exercise? All these things that are lumped into this that would confound it, that could really be the root cause of the health indicators from cancer to cardiovascular disease, whatever the issue might be. They don't have a really true root cause to cause and effect of what's causing the problem. They just happen to be that they eat more red meat perhaps than another, but they also happen to be a smoker, a drinker, you name it, non-exerciser. So for some reason they tend to point the finger at, say, red meat. Now, so first of all, a lot of these studies are pretty much crap, but I would say the important thing here is that, yes, the difference is primarily in your meat. What you're going to see is the differences in fat concentration and cholesterol concentration. Now, let's assume that this person she follows some sort of like paleo principles and things of that nature, and she buys grass-fed, local types of meats that are like I said, grass-fed. So that would mean that the meat itself is actually going to have a lower fat content, and cholesterol lives in the fat, so cholesterol content is also lower. Now, depends who you talk to and depends on the person, that it may or may not be a good or bad thing. But for comparison's sake and argument's sake of what this person's question is, well, let's consider fat as bad here and cholesterol as bad. Now, when you get something free range and grass-fed, the fat concentration drops significantly in that animal source. Now, I've got here, this is from Trader Joe's, and this is just organic beef sirloin roast. Now, this has in it 2 grams of fat for a 3-ounce serving, which means that in 3 ounces, so in this container, that means per serving, 3 ounces is a serving. That means there is less than 1 gram of fat per ounce, which is pretty much insignificant and trace, if anything. So go find any chicken that you have, and basically chicken's considered lean if it's got 3 grams or fat or less per ounce serving. So that is pretty damn lean stuff, and it's red meat. It's sirloin. So why would the red meat be a problem if you're getting it from proper sources? So that is just simple bias, and it would have nothing to do with your fat loss or lack thereof because of fat calories or anything like that. You gotta use some common sense here and look at some labels and see, there's chickens that have higher fat content than that. Of course, there's some that are leaner and they've trimmed off the visible fat. So look at your sources first and rule out any simple issues that might be there. Yes, I recommend getting local free-range grass-fed type stuff. It does make a difference, and you will not have to deal with the ethical problems, or say even the health problems of the antibiotics and hormone use within your animals. It supports local agriculture, which has got tremendous benefits, spreading not just from the animal but to local business in the environment. But when it comes to fat loss, you really can't throw a stone at, say, the red meat if you're getting the right sources. Of course, different cuts of meats will have different fats per gram, or fat grams per ounce. So you want to go with things like that leaner the cuts, the flanks, and things of that nature. But know what's in your food and read some labels and see that. Simply, it's just a difference in color, and it shouldn't be biased that red meats are not as healthy as, say, white meats, for example.